I must look broke or homeless. I must look broke or homeless. I was walking through a store that sells sporting goods and they had one rack of jerseys that every jersey was $500 a piece. Another shopper, an older lady, came up to me and said, "You know these jerseys are all really expensive, right? The cheaper ones are over there," and pointed to other jerseys. I was like, really? Unfortunately, I couldn't come up with a quick witty comeback. I was looking pretty grungy after a hike in a resort town, buying my wife a fairly expensive but not crazy expensive leather jacket, $600 as a surprise, because she liked it but didn't want to spend on it, and the clerk asks, "Are you sure you can get that?" and seems upset I'm even touching it. I almost wanted to put it back, but my wife still loves it. When I was shopping for a car a while back, I was wandering around a used car lot. I asked the salesman if they had a particular car and he said, "Not in your price range." I informed him that my price range was equal to the most expensive car they had on their lot and at least $10,000 more than the car I was looking for, but that I'd take my money and his commission elsewhere. He tried to backpedal and apologize, but I wasn't having it. Bought a car somewhere else the next day. I didn't think I looked poor, but apparently I did. Damn, where are the very expensive ones? I don't want to look cheap. It's too bad the lady didn't work there, because if so, the perfect response would have been, "Op, you work on commission, right?" Yes. Op, big mistake, huge. That's when I pull out my Black American Express card. Yeah, I dress like a homeless guy. Most old operators do. I would have said the mind your own damn business department is over yonder and to go give it a look. Probably just an old lady with sticker shock thinking she was being helpful. Similar thing happened to a manager. Keen to support local business, he wanted to totally upgrade his camera equipment, £3,000 spend. He hates suits and smart clothes. On the weekend he has his scruff shorts, joggers, t-shirts. He got ignored. They were more concerned with some guy spending £50 on photograph paper for a printer. He went to Jessop's and spent £1,000 less for the same equipment and tore them off a strip on Google Reviews Facebook. Maybe she was pointing out that $500 for a shirt is fucking ridiculous? Never understood how staff in high-end shops, most of whom are paid barely above minimum wage enough, can act snooty and look down on customers not deemed to be good enough, as if they themselves are wealthy and upper-class customers. Had this happened to me once as well at a restaurant. This particular restaurant is owned by one of my neighbors who is a good friend of the family. Basically like an unofficial aunt and uncle. When I walked in with my sister on their invite, another guest who came after me made a snarky comment in the sense of, "You do know that you need to pay her, don't you?" So I turned around, pulled out my credit card and told him, "Yeah, that's why I have this. But to be honest with you, my uncle and aunt own this place, so I probably don't. They never allow me to pay there no matter how hard I persist on paying." He didn't like that one bit. I work from home 4 days a week and I routinely look like a homeless person who broke into my place for free Wi-Fi. Please tell me where your clearance rack is. Save the expensive stuff for the suckers with maxed out credit cards trying to impress you by looking nice. Maybe she thought $500 for a jersey was ridiculous and just wanted to point you in the direction of something similar for a reasonable price. And it had nothing to do with your appearance. Or maybe not. I'm in the same boat. I made my money in military contracting. So I don't look like your typical rich dude, but I sold my company in 2017 years for a high 8 figures. Every time I try walking into one of those higher-end stores, I get stares and treated like shit. Thing is, I live in an area known for what we call sleeper millionaires, so it blows my mind stores here don't factor that in. It's not like I look homeless. I just wear normal clothes and usually drive a normal car. I might have to sell the yacht, but I think I'll manage. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Prune juice is in aisle 8 in the grocery section. I bet that old lady's kids get Nintendo Swatches for Christmas. Aren't grateful and she can't work out why. Lol. I was dressed shitty after a gym session dog walk and needed to pop into Chinatown area of Sydney. There's this fancy Malaysian place that does a killer prawn soup and pork cheek spring rolls. I went in and sat down and they got security from the pub next door to come and spoke to me. The place was empty. Late afternoon. My beard prob needed to be lined up. In reflection, I definitely could have looked like a icehead that infests this part of town. My money's good, I was just dressed in shabby active wear. Maybe she thinks only fools would pay $500 for a jersey. I once sold a bunch of lawn tractors to the dirt-covered, manure-smelling homeless landscaper my coworker wanted security to kick out of the store. It's possible she didn't mean anything by it. If I see someone looking at something rich or poor, black or white, man or woman, does not matter, and I know you can get it cheaper, or if there is some kind of 2-for-1 deal, I will let them know. I figure everyone likes a good deal. I once accidentally threw away the piece of paper that had the run times for my training group run on it. I was digging in a garbage can at a gas station looking for it, and some random woman gave me $20. I like to reply with, I know it may hurt my reputation wearing something so cheap, but I have a custom designer who can make a better fit one for me. I just want to get this so she has a reference. Maybe you could tell people like that you are shopping incognito, in disguise, so no one knows who you are. Then, maybe she'll think you are someone she can't recognize. And you can add, it must be working. You haven't recognized me yet. Then if she asks who you are, just say you don't want any attention. You like to go out unknown sometimes and you don't trust her not to tell everyone your real name. And to let you have some peace, quiet for a change. Maybe she was trying to be nice. Even if I have money, I look at cheaper stuff first. You're not the only that gets treated that way. I remember this one story about how the CEO of Funko Pop went to a BMW dealership in San Diego. They almost threw him out because of what he wore. He was wearing cargo shorts along with some random t-shirt. So they thought he was just a commoner who couldn't afford a car. He ended buying one of the most expensive cars on the lot, $300K. I think the elderly lady wasn't doing anything other than trying to pass on a money-saving tip. Like, hey bro, the grocery store next door has those on sale this week for $99. I would have said thanks, I didn't know that, have a nice day. Then I would laugh. When I was in maintenance, I would get filthy at work. I went to buy a TV with about $2K in my pocket. Shits were pricey back then and got utterly ignored. Spent my cash online where there's no judgment. My father and I were shopping at a department store, buying high-end cut crystal wine glasses. We stopped at a display of high-end knickknacks. I touched several of them, turning them to see the back and sides of the items. Then we both came to the realization that I was wearing a poncho that covered my body in a drape, and the store employee near us was about to jump out of her skin whenever I touched something. What to do? I touched everything in the store on our way out of the store. We were followed almost to the door. I work at sporting events, and some people don't realize how expensive the top-end jerseys go for. In this one case, she may have been trying to do you a solid. She might have looked on that rack for one and been told by an employee that info and wanted to pass it along. The other day I was at Costco and a guy and his daughter were checking out the display of winter gloves. I told him I too was going to buy the same gloves, but I was going to wait because they would go on discounts soon, and so should he. Both of us could have afforded them at $16. But why should we when I expect it to be $5 cheaper before winter? Your story reminds me of the cold, rainy day that my husband and I went furniture shopping. We were in sweats and went to see if there was anything we liked as we were shopping for our new house. The lady helping us was like, we can do financing through Synergy Credit, but don't worry. If your credit isn't good enough to get approved through them, we can do in-store financing. We both just started laughing and left. What she didn't know was our credit is $790 each and we wouldn't have financed furniture. We bought outright. She may have been just trying to be nice. May not have meant it in a "you look poor," but more of a courtesy. I don't see the point in buying the more expensive one if they have it at a lesser price. She may be a bargain hunter and trying to share something she found. I've had that happen to me too, lols. I don't let strangers and their perception of me determine my value. Now if it was employees, I'd probably just leave. Were you looking for the $500 jerseys? I didn't know this was a thing, tbh. That's a ripoff by any objective measure. Unless those were signed by pros and in glass cases, I can't really explain how polyester and nylon shirts can be worth more than $100. Overpriced jersey is worth $500 plus. She doesn't really sound entitled. I must be at the wrong end of this Reddit spectrum. I cannot imagine buying a $500 sports jersey and would probably thank the woman for helping from wasting my time and money. I was returning the U-Haul truck after moving in on a hot day. As I was returning to the truck after gassing up at a truck stop near the return place, I looked particularly grungy and sweaty. BC, you know, moving is hard. A trucker solicited me non-verbally. Clearly thought I was a lot lizard prostitute. My husband still references this frequently if we are at a truck stop. She was just looking out for you. Getting a good deal is smart, not poor. Depends on how she said it to you. But is there a chance she was paling around with you about how ridiculously priced they were? I work in an industry where tattoo don't matter. I was at an art fest at a jewelry stand that made hand-crocheted beaded necklaces. It was a hot day. I was wearing a tank top so my tattoos were visible. The woman saw me browsing and said, "It doesn't look like you make six figures to afford these." The necklace was $90. I told her it was cheaper than the jewelry I was wearing and left. At the end of the day, I had to walk by her tent again. Didn't look like she sold much throughout the day. Guess not enough people that were shopping that day made six figures to buy her necklaces. Face with rolling eyes. This sounds like a scene from the movie Pretty Woman. My friend and I went to a high-end clothing store and found a cute little leather jacket I had to have. When I went to put it on, the salesperson became snippet and reminded me of the price of their clothing. Then the manager got in on the discussion. I pulled out a wad of cash Donovan McNabb and Tiger Woods had given me to rub my feet. The manager chastised the salesperson and sent him away. Then my friend helped dig some crack rocks out of my ass. Just ask her if that's where she got hers. I would rather see this as a friendly warning and try to help a fellow customer, because $500 for a t-shirt is way beyond ridiculous. Robbery in broad daylight. You know the younger ones don't like you either, right? Yeah, tried to return a ski helmet that I never even took out of the box. It was a week after their return window, but since it's a local store and expensive, I expected decent treatment. As the narrator would say, he did not receive decent treatment. I sold the helmet myself and haven't set foot into that store again. All I wanted was a little consideration. She only judging due to your outfit. Oh, in YHAT case, let's only get 3 of them. Big mistake, big, huge. The best response would be to turn it around on her and ask her, "Then why are you here?" You might just look endearingly clueless in a Hugh Grant way. Old ladies sometimes assume younger people can't shop and need instruction. You can test this by standing in front of the melon bin in your local grocery store to see whether an old lady comes out of the nearest bush and instructs you which one to pick. She may have just been trying to be helpful. You know, she may have been confused by them herself before. She might have thought she was doing you a favor. Maybe one time she tried to buy one of the expensive ones or had a friend warn her. I have actually seen several people direct other shoppers to cheaper options that were the same quality, and the others seemed grateful. Should have congratulated her on being pregnant. Asked when her due date was. Just a thought. Maybe she thought those aren't worth the expense and meant it like those over there are a bargain. Some of us love a bargain. Happens all the time. E.g. rich people who work more dirty physical jobs, e.g. vet for high-end horses or a long shift of surgery, or owning a building company and visiting construction sites and shop after work. OFC a bit dirty and sweaty, and not in expensive high fashion but in expensive durable work clothes. And once the worker realize they actually got money, they get super sweet, but before rude as hell. I was at our beach house and I rode my old Huffy bike to the gym. After a good workout and riding back in the heat, I stopped by the church to get a bulletin. One of the nuns came out and offered me a meal for the homeless. I must have looked like a mess. You should have just laughed and owned it. Oh, this must be where the morons shop. Who the hell would pay $500 for a shirt? My car didn't even cost that much. Maybe she was trying to warn you. Like, dude, these are expensive as fuck, go over there, they are better priced. You should probably get over there before all the good stuff is gone then. Huh? Open mouth smile winking face. A sister I have a few told me, when am I gonna stop looking homeless? Well, I guess she told me because it was blaming me like it was a choice. Meanwhile, I had no idea I looked homeless. Ask if she can spare $495. Go fuck yourself is the appropriate response. It could be your age. There are a lot of young people in my field, and one of them went to buy a wallet after work. He is very professional in his behaviors and always carries himself in a distinguished manner. He was still in his business suit and they were trying to direct him toward the cheaper wallets. He didn't want a cheaper wallet. He was in his 20s but could afford the type of wallet that had to be kept behind the counter. He shouldn't have had to argue in order to get it. I have the scene from Pretty Woman going through my head, where Julia Roberts gets kicked out of the expensive store, then goes back and says, "You work on commission, right? Big mistake." I love that scene. It's called projection. I'd tell her, you can't judge a book by its cover. No need to be witty, just say, why would you feel the need to tell me that? Old ladies are all about saving money. She was just being helpful and offering a bit of info. Calm down. I once walked into a jewelry store where I'd spotted a statue I wanted. I was dressed and just spent the day cleaning cages and stalls grungy duds. I asked the price of the figure, and was told, you couldn't afford it. I tersely responded, apparently, you are unaware of what the wealthy actually look like. I left, letting them chew on that. I'm not wealthy, but I own that figure. And its companion piece, purchased elsewhere.